This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Analysis with Ro. I'm your host, Ro, giving you the latest in everything media. First things first, I want to shout out the new background. Check it out, everybody. Check it out. Look, all the new stuff right here. Same face, but new stuff, to make everything more decorative, more pretty, if you will. We have plenty of stuff going on in the background. It's great. It's lovely. You love to see it. So, pretty much, how is everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. We're going to start this program off pretty simple. We're going to talk about and do a deep dive with all the podcast episodes. I'm going to do things a little different. I'm going to hopefully have things working with screen share so that I can screen share the podcast episodes with you. It is audio only, so there's that going on, but we are still going to do our absolute best with making sure that, we have everything going through smoothly for what we're going to be discussing, because we have some important things to talk about for this Hisoka character study that I am still doing. Because the thing about his character is just like an onion or a multi-layered cake. There's just a fuck ton of things to cut through. It's just so many things. You think that you got something and you probably missed a detail. He's one of those characters. So it's gonna take me some time to basically deep dive into everything. It like, on one hand, I love it. On the other hand, it sucks. I hate it. It's like, wow, how lovely yet despicable at the same damn time. Copyright rules. I don't think I can do the same thing with the Hunter x Hunter movie reactions. I don't think I could do a straight up review / reaction at the same time. So I'm pretty much just probably going to end up watching the movie again and then tell you my notes. That's similar to what we do for all these other character analyzations. We're just going to do the same thing, but for a movie instead. Full movie analysis, but it will be like a podcast episode. Another thing, right, that is in the works for reviews, if you want to also take notes for this, we will also be reviewing Sinners in the meantime. So that's going to be great, fun, dandy. We're going to be reviewing Sinners as well. It's going to be a real good time for us. As well as Sinners, the very last thing that I believe that we're essentially going to be reviewing, not very last thing, one of the few things that we're going to be reviewing is F1. I still need to get to Yellow Jackets. There's other series besides anime. These are series outside of anime that I also plan on analyzing. But for right now, all those things aside, we have a Hisoka character study to get through. And for these 3 episodes, I believe we went back to the topic of Hisoka's mom. But now we're specifically talking about kind of Nen inheritance. So how did he learn his Nen? How did he gain his Nen? With the help of his mother. And this is before Merit now. So it's before Merit now, and this is essentially the theory / what I can read, inference theory. The subtext I have read is essentially for the pre-canon manga. He already had his powers beforehand. He just didn't know how to use them 100%. And this was pretty much before his mother's passing. His mother passed away. And, when she passed, it was just okay, I have these powers, so now what? Kind of situation. He didn't really know what to do with them. Didn't really know what to do with his powers at all. Just kind of had them there, if you will. Just, whoa, 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 whoa. We will get to that. Talking about, I don't know with the rules of copyright, if they'll let me slide with that. I'm praying to the copyright gods that we'll actually get to see the manga pieces that I am discussing with everyone today. So we'll show you screen share for the Spotify, and we will try to figure out something, a solution of some kind when it comes to what to do for the manga pieces, because I actually want to show that to you today, guys, more so than anything else. I've seen other people do it and not get in trouble, but I'm always going to be a little bit weary when it comes to something like that. So we're going to tread lightly. We're going to tread very lightly today. So let us go enough yapping. Let us actually go to what we're gonna do today and pretty much dive into the whole shebang alike, starting soon. So we are now here. I am going to share the Spotify. We're gonna go here. Everybody, you can see what I see. Wow, look at that. Nice stuff. You can look at pretty much all of my tabs. That is crazy. And we are going to go straight to my show. It says show all. And go to my show. That's right. We're gonna scroll down. It's my stuff, so I don't know. It's like, can they copyright stuff? If it's mine, it's like that makes no sense if they can. But apparently, Spotify be on that bullshit nowadays. Have y'all heard about the new 18 plus rule that the UK got going on? If you live in the UK, man, let me just say, I am so sorry for you guys. You are just going through it. Not like the US is any better. We're struggling too here, but it's just like, damn. It can always be worse. Anyways, let's get into the first part. So, to explain the first part, my theory when it came to Hisoka's characters, I do believe he's multiracial. As far as that goes, one of the main things I believe he was raised in, believe he was raised like Hispanic Romani. So that's the preemptive that we're basing this on. Everybody is different. There's this whole thing going around that says like in the fandom. So this is not canon. Like within the fandom, people keep saying that he's French, and to me, there's no indication that he is French. And again, this is coming from someone who has family that are within France. I don't see anything that would indicate French culture, really. So I don't know. It's just like the vibe, like everything that he's giving, it's not giving French to me. And I think one of the main reasons, even though the way that his name is spelled, it's not even spelled in the French way, but apparently it's because of his last name. But the last name, I would get it if it was spelled the French way, and the French way is Moreau. That's not how it's spelled. If anything, it's spelled the Scottish way, which is Moroow. That's Scottish. So I feel like that alone is like, okay, so he has pretty much like a Scottish last name. It's not French at all. So my theory, essentially going back, and I'm just going to tell you this, guys, right now, before we actually get started, is the theory that I have is his mother has a mixture of essentially Mexican Romani and like slight Scottish like genes, but like the Scottish part is like a 15% or something. But that's where, everything about that aspect came from. Or I had like three assumptions. Mom has a little bit of Scottish to her, which I like 50-50 on that. And number two would be like, okay, so maybe it's not mom, maybe it's dad. I'm leaning more so towards dad. Here's what I assume his dad is: a little bit of Scottish, a lot of European French, along with some kind of East Asian, either Korean or Japanese. I'm debating on whether the two. That's what I ultimately lean towards. So you know, his last name, I do believe, came from his dad's side, because traditionally, and most of the time, even if you're not married to the person, that tends to be the case. You tend to just take your dad's last name. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to debate into it or get into it right now, but it kind of dives into like patriarchal discussions, list goes on. It's a whole thing. But yeah, that is some of the theories that I have when it comes to his characters, at least race/authenticity wise. Nationality wise, he's equivalent to an American, or in his case, a Saharian. So we're going based off of the assumption that this is a multiracial American man. That is how I tend to analyze his character, at least when it comes to the discussion of race, nationality, and authenticity. Okay. Also, speaking of which, and I might do a substack on this, the way that essentially he is like shown and portrayed, if we're going to add on like the whole race and authenticity discussion, I can see people's confusion because he is, according to like what I see, like white presenting as well. There's only a few like features on his face that you could tell this is a person of color. But if you didn't know how to scan that, you would assume that he is a white person. I don't know if that counts as white presenting or white passing. I too get confused on the difference between only those two subjects, but it kind of crosses over sometimes, so that's probably why. Enough. Let's just get into topic one, which is Romani religious origins. Heavily Latin American regions or Hispanic regions, aka. Also, I need to turn this on the speaker. I need everybody to hear. So we are just Bluetooth mode connected. To what is the question? Also, how is everybody doing today? You know, there's just a lot going on today. Different things to talk about. We could literally be here like forever, if you will. I'm not gonna do that to you. But there's a lot of different things to discuss, you know? A lot of different things. A lot of different things. What is that? An idea for how we could probably fix this problem. This isn't connected to anything, and I think what we can do, this is kind of crazy, is it's like, power it off. Yeah. Hi. I'm probably going to connect this to the computer way later. Unless we, hold on. Loot connected. Yeah, so I think I can just connect my phone for now. I have to figure out how to connect it to the computer. That is okay. Let's just get into what we need to get into. We're just gonna have it connect to the Echo Dot for now. Now connected to Loliel's MacBook Pro. That now primarily speaks Spanish. Hispanic Romani people, they originated way back in the day in India, but eventually they had to basically adjust to doing their thing. And I said that his mother is of Hispanic Romani origin. And I want to talk about how that impacts his learning when it comes to Nen, especially in his like ages 0 to so young child infancy kind of stage. But first, part one is basically introducing what those beliefs even are before we talk about how it like impacted him as a whole. The roots of Roma beliefs. Let's get down into it. So let's start off with Romani religious beliefs are rooted in Hinduism. The reason why they're rooted in Hinduism is essentially because the Romani people are ancestrally from India. Okay, let's explain that a bit further. I'm gonna also have my notes alongside me. I don't know why I didn't do that originally, but here we are. So, when I was doing research way back high in the day, essentially, I had these notes that discussed again in terms of like ethnicity slash racial background. These are like just some of the notes that I've had, for it. And I wanted to start off with being culturally aware of how Hisoka got taught. Because again, I don't think it's with the Western perspective in mind, at least not mainly, even though they lived in what is the equivalent of the West, like they lived in the equivalent of the United States. I ultimately thought and essentially theorized that, hey, he was not taught that way, There are people within the US, myself included, it's like, yeah, I'm from the US. But, my family essentially is not. So you're going to learn some things that are not from quote unquote American culture. They're from something else. In his case, like Romani culture. So I just went about my day to day and I went, yeah, that is some of the things that he learned. And this is what essentially I said. All right. So I wanted to get down into, first of all, the roots of Roma beliefs slash where it all began. And here's the following things that I essentially said, and this is going to be real quick before we get into part two. The roots of Roma beliefs, or Romani beliefs, and Romani religious beliefs are rooted in Hinduism. And Hinduism, essentially, it has different sectors like any other religion, and there's different ways of worshiping. Well, it's not really, it's 50-50 on whether it should be like, considered worship, really? Because they say, like, for them, it depends. Like, some people, they worship the god or gods there. Because for some people, they follow Hinduism in a monotheistic way. And that's mostly what Romani people kind of do today. If they don't go into like an Abrahamic religion and they take Hinduistic like teaching slash ways of doing things, but for Abrahamic religions, they might also just follow one Pacific Hindu god, and that's about it. We're gonna talk a little bit later about like the similarities for that, but for right now, Romani religious beliefs are rooted in Hinduism. So let's get back to the main thing. Rooted in Hinduism. Okay, that's what mainly it is. And you have Hinduism being the oldest practice. So Hinduism's the oldest practice, the one of the oldest and third largest religion. I think the other two are Christianity as well as Islam. So you have those two going on. Again, I'm a little sick and under the weather, so excuse the pauses. But you have those two things going on, and you pretty much, have Hinduism being the third largest. Why is this all important? We're gonna get into it. I just put in a baseline. It's like this is the foundation. This is what you need to know before you get into anything else. You're gonna be confused if I don't tell you this all right now. So after all of that, the history of Hinduism is just intimately entwined and has a profound influence with the entire history of the Indian subcontinent. So that's why you kind of need to know this, because again, ancestrally speaking, India is the main base. It's the home base. It's the home motherland. All right. It's where it all began, along with a couple of other places as well. If I were to again guess and assume, it's like Hispanic Romani. So like India first, and then like for me personally, I theorize Mexico. And then after that, along with that, you also have essentially not really Scotland. I said Scotland's like 15%. It's like it's there by a small percentage. If we're talking about his dad did not raise him. So even if we were to talk about his dad, he doesn't have enough of a impact on his child's life because he just simply was not there. That's why we don't really talk about his dad in terms of like raising him, because he didn't. Sorry, it's what happens when you're a deadbeat. Or the second theory that I have, which is like, this is an interesting theory that I had for a minute too for his dad. It's like, one, just pure abandonment, niggas ain't shit type of thing. Or number two, which is essentially the more interesting theory that I have that's still in interesting development. And okay, I don't know, I got distracted by something. Okay, maybe I'll do that later. I don't know. Anyways, we have essentially his dad, which the theory that I had is him being, this is a very interesting theory. It's essentially him being a part of the Dark Continent, like one of the first people, not first people, but maybe second round. Because first round, we knew it was like the Zoldycks and a couple of other people, along with like Jang's dad, I think. So like either Gon's grandparents or Gon's grandparents. The family line for everybody gets confusing, but especially for the Frisch family, I get confused for them a little bit. There's probably was a second round before like the government full on said stop completely. Because people be dying, niggas be dying. There's a very low survival rate for the Dark Continent. So they figured it out the hard way because people kept going missing and dying. And I think one of those people, if we're going to talk about Hisoka's more daredevil personality, it's like, where did that come from? There's a debate in the scientific community. I do think some of your personality can be ingrained by you, of course, you are your own person, but there's a lot of aspects that you have that come from your parents. I do also believe that. I don't know if it's personality alone, I would say. I would say there's just certain traits and aspects that did come from your parents that got passed down to you. Now, I don't know the deep science behind that. And there's still debate in the scientific community about that, but that's just very interesting. Also, besides it being interesting, if we're going to go about with that theory, I do think it's more so daredevil personality. May have came from both parents, but mostly his dad. So I think essentially going off of this still is going to count, by the way, still counts as abandonment, to a different light/different degree. The way I count this is that, with like cave divers, they be going into these random caves and shit. Mind you, these niggas got families, okay? They have families. Full on families. They have people waiting back home. And you know what they're doing? Going in places that are pretty much not even damn near. Some would say it is impossible to escape. And they say, bring it on. Bring it on. What do you mean, bring it on? Bring on what? Your death? Your ending? What are we bringing on? The end? I need everybody to be so serious in this house. Because these people will go into these caves and never come back out. You lost your entire parent because they were on that dumb shit. That counts as abandonment to me. You could have done anything in the world, but you chose one of the most deadliest things on the planet. At some point, you gotta stop with the daredevil behavior. You have a family now. As Margot Robbie said in that one movie, you have a family now, and you're acting like Wolf of Wall Street. Love that movie. Anyway, it's true though. Like an effect. What are we doing in this nation in which you have to go and dive into a cave and then never come back? You don't love your family for real. That still counts as abandonment to me. You abandon your family and yourself. Everything's abandoned in that case. At least with deadbeats, they stay alive. They just ain't shit. At least they're alive, though. You died by being stupid. I can't condone that. I can't. So, this counts as that. It's like he disappeared at the dark continent. Very low survive rate. And it's like, you have a partner. I don't think they were married, mind you. Which is probably another thing. And this is on both of them. Not that it would matter. Same results. But it's like, you can't even do anything about it really legally because it's like you're not bounded by the vows of marriage. So according to the law, you were just some single girl hanging out, thugging it out. But you still single according to the law. It's not fun for anybody involved. It sucks for everybody involved. That's what's so crazy. It sucks for everybody involved. It doesn't make any sense for everybody involved. It's just like, what? You can't get the free stuff. Not free stuff. You can't get the stuff. Girl, you can't get it at all. What are we talking about? You can't get any of the stuff, mind you. You're not married to him. You just here for real. I don't know what the plan was for those two. I love his hypothetical mama down, but girl, that was a mess too. That was a mistake on her part and on his part. Honestly, the more I think about Hisoka's parents, the more I go, this is probably why he's a mess. I'm just as confused. I'm also like, what was the plan here? Did you just think I'm gonna go to the dark continent, discover this new shit, become a, Nobel Peace Prize winning a hunter or some shit? I'm definitely gonna come back alive. Yeah. Did he even have a plan? If hypothetically my theory turned out to be correct? Like, was he just thugging it out too? Like father, like son, they say. I pray for their partners. His mom, and now we move on to the future, Both parents, I assume, are now dead. Okay. So we move on to the son. Here he go. Out here fighting people where it's like, it's damn near impossible to defeat that man. This nigga moves in groups. First of all, he don't move in one, he moves in groups. And if it's to the point where your fiance's family, your fiance's elders, the Zoldycks, one of the most powerful assassins according to the world, went, oh, hell nah? You went, can't be that hard. Huh? Can't be that hard. Like father, like son. What do you mean can't be that hard? You saw the survival rates. You saw it was low, and you went, that's a challenge. That's a festivity. This is a spoiler, by the way. We're going to talk about this more way later. I just want to get my feelings out now. My feelings about it, at least. Here you go. Now, the thing about you is, luckily, unlike your dad, if my theory ends up being correct, mind you, at least you ended up alive. You were given a second chance to live in. Praise God, I guess. No, a second chance to life. And I don't know what to do about that information. Because here he goes all around the world. Yeah. I mean, he was chasing this fight for a while. But you would think, me personally, if all of these things were blocking my way, maybe that is a sign for God to stop. You would think that at some point you would get the hint. And you know what? Maybe I need a different mission. There's certain things in my life that I've learned the hard way. It's like maybe we need to try something else. Maybe the path in which we're going, the path with the most resistance. Sometimes that's not the way. I know sometimes we be out here saying, the path with the least resistance is the easiest path. But sometimes the easiest path is the best one. And maybe that's just me talking. But I'm just saying. But anyways, here he goes. Random talks. Here he goes. Just being out there despite and it's like, so you pretty much brushed death. Did your mama smack the hell out of you in the afterlife? I bet she did. I bet she did. You came back in a full peace, mind you, in the afterlife. And she essentially told her son, maybe in Spanish. They only understood each other, mind you. Went straight to him to essentially said, you're not supposed to be here. I see your daddy over there. Your dad's over there in the corner. Oh, aren't supposed to be here. What are you doing here? And then he tells her why he's here in the afterlife, just chilling. Smacks the shit out of him. I would too. I hope you got the spiritual smackdown of a life. Hope you met God. So along with that spiritual smackdown, you can get some spiritual preachers. And at some point, it takes meeting God and maybe your ancestors to finally go, you know what? I do need to move smarter. And I do need to maybe listen to your fiance. I bet they had conversations. I bet they did. We'll talk about it more when we get to the adulthood section. This nigga's a mess. He is a mess, Your Honor. There's nothing I can do about that. He's just a mess. He's just a mess, Your Honor. What am I supposed to do about that? Nothing. There's nothing I can do. Let's put some music in here. There's nothing I can do. Your Honor, he is just a mess. And I don't know what to really say about that. I don't know if there's anything we can say about that. Can we say anything? It's still too much. There we go. There's nothing we can do about that. It's just mess, Your Honor. We gonna do? Lord have mercy. Okay. Let's move on to the next thing. That was a rant. We're going to talk more about it. And I swear to you, when we get to the adulthood section, there's just so much frustration. Right now, I'm chill. This is the childhood section. He's a baby right me talking about it. It's like, this is him as a kid. He a baby. I don't go too hard on the babies. There's not much that the babies can do. Okay? The babies be doing what babies do. I be letting the children off light. I'll let the children do what the children do. I believe in that. Okay? I believe in the children being the children. So it's light right now, but when we get to maybe late teenhood, early adulthood, you'll start to see me being pissed off. Right now, we chilling. You see this matcha in the background? We're hella chilling. We're fine. When we get to the adulthood section, I'm gonna be so pissed off. I'm going to be pissed off. I know it. Let's move on. So this is based in Hinduistic practices. That's what you need to know. And also, for those of you that are not following go on ahead and do that. Like, what are we doing? You're not following my Spotify. You're not being good to me. And if you can support in any kind of way, I also have a Ko-fi and a Patreon. The Ko-fi is doing its thing. Like in the chat, there is pretty much links to the Ko-fi where you could go check it out and sponsor and, help me out that way. All the money goes towards the show. Just like PBS, this show wouldn't be here if it wasn't for lovely viewers like yourselves. So, just a quick shout out to that. Just being like, hey, Come on, everybody. You watching this is supporting at me. That's amazing. I love you guys when you watch and react and talk about the same things I do. I love having different discussions with you guys and being interactive with you guys. I love all of that. So there's just many ways to support me. I'll put down below the different places that you can go to support your girl right here. We can continue having these kind of conversations. And again, maybe put more things in the background because this is being filled out right now and this definitely needs more stuff. I think for this whole little box right here, mind you, I'm in control of the electricity in my house. If I wanted to say lights out one day, I can, but I'm insane. I would never do that. But if I wanted to, I would, kind of thing. You know? But like, yeah, there's just different ways to pretty much support your girl. So before I want to continue, just as a little sponsor drop off, yeah. So the sponsor of today for today's video is me. I'm today's sponsor, you know? So shout out wanting to support your girl, I will put the link in the chat actually for where you can see literally all these different websites right here because I'm telling you, we got everything. You can support the YouTube channel that I got going on where I pretty much put all of these lives. All the lives go on the YouTube as well as video podcasts. Those go on the YouTube too. I have one video podcast, but it was like a test more than anything else. The first official video podcast might be for the beginning of the education series. The education series, which by the way, for the Hisoka character analysis, we are now in the education section, also known as the early education section. That's what this T-Talk was for. The T-Talk was a preemptive, you know, getting y'all prepared, pepped and ready for the next series, which is about education as a whole. So that is going to be all video, nothing but video. Okay, and I'm going to work my butt off to make sure that it gets edited to the best degree. And we are pretty much just gonna go in, daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. We're gonna do it all. We're gonna do it all. We're gonna have the time of our lives. We're gonna have fun. That's what matters up in here. So that's gonna be on the that's what it's called. Hubi as well. So I'm going to put that link down below. Y'all just give me a minute. Hold up. Let's get y'all right. But that is the many different ways that you can support your girl right here, you know? Cause don't leave me hanging. Do not leave me hanging, you feel me? Like I'm here for you, you're here for me. That's how things go around here. We're here for each other. Okay. Also, this camera is way better than any of the other cameras that I've had. I'm going to be using this from now on. This is spectacular. But yeah, just sponsored by me. I do what I do. I'll hopefully have it load, but I'm hoping it does because I want to share it with you guys because you guys are the greatest, man. You guys are so helpful. You're so great when it comes to these kinds of things. And we help each other out here. We do great things here. Great things. Let me just share the link. So while we do that, I am going to continue talking about what we are talking about. So back on the main conversation, I went off topic, like off topic rant, but on topic rant. Let's continue. So in order to be a Hindu, if we're going to continue this conversation, basically you kind of have to be born into it, or there has to be just practicing the faith by declaration. They do not do what other religions do. So you have to go through a long conversion process with other religions. Hinduism is different. You don't necessarily have to do that. Now, depending on where you are, they might ask you to do that. They might ask you, but it's not a requirement kind of thing. My keyboard fell. Whoops. Now this whole entire thing, it's known to fall apart. That's what we do here. Okay, so I'm going to share now. I need to log on to the thing. Really? I mean, I guess that's true. Hold on. Yeah, but anywho, we're back. Okay, so that took forever and I don't know why. Anyways, we're gonna skip Shaktism. Okay, so we now know it's Romani practices that mostly it's what we're doing. We're gonna also talk about Shaktism real quick. So before we move on to anything else, let's just discuss some of the other beliefs, because that's what you really need to know. So going back on this conversation, the Hindu belief codes are the codes of conduct and other social practices that emanate and are drawn from a wide collection of philosophical literature and scriptures, which include, but are not limited to, the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Brahmas, Sutras and Bhagavad Gita, and the epics of Ramana and the Mahabharata. I might pronounce some of them wrong, and that's because I'm not Indian, so give me grace. Okay? Okay. I am not Indian. Give me grace. Anyways, generally, one is understood to be Hindu again if you are essentially born into it or if you declare it. Most people will probably say born into it is kind of the priority. That goes for most religions. Like, if you're born into it, there's more of a priority slash privilege to you in a way. I can't explain it. Yeah, that just tends to be the case. So, a Hindu views the entire universe, and this is what essentially the beliefs are, that God and everything in the universe as God. So, everything you touch has a spiritual connection, pretty much. Kind of very similar to like how Nen is kind of understood in their world anyways. So, that's why I said essentially if anybody was underneath these beliefs or it's inspired heavily by these belief systems, wouldn't be hard to learn Nen for them. Would not. I think that goes to say it's like you have to essentially have some kind of, in my humble opinion, non-Western mindset in order to practice Nen. Low key, high key. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. So because when I say that, it's like when we think of the West and their beliefs and practices, it's very linear, very individualistic. Like there's just a lot of things that, in my humble opinion, would probably consider like a mental blockage. That's why I say that. So yeah, but continuing on, just believe that each person is intrinsically divine and the purpose of life is to seek and claim or realize the divinity within us. So yeah, that is the very big side when it comes to Hinduistic beliefs. That's really what it all boils down to. There you go. And the laws of karma, which is the laws of the land which you are on. Let's see if it can do reactions. That first law is cool as shit. I didn't even realize it can do all that. Maybe they pulled it off. I'm fucking around with the camera at this point. Okay, so yeah, center stage is wobbly. I don't know if I want to do that. I can control my camera. I get to literally do whatever the fuck I want. It's nice, but I'm gonna take that off. Alright, so the laws of karma, which is the laws of cause and effect, in which each and every single one of like the reactions pretty much, every action has a reaction. So boring stuff aside, let's get into the nitty gritty behind it. So the laws of karma. So this is another main thing that you probably need to write down. This is the laws of cause and effect, in which each and every action has a reaction. Yeah, that whole thing that you learned when you were learning basic physics, it applies to karma. Yeah, talk to me, okay? And it generates conditions to be experienced within the lifetime of the next. So basically, karma adds up to your reincarnation, according to these belief systems. So let's say that you were doing nothing but good deeds, right? You were being good to the people, you were being good to others. Then you're gonna be reincarnated into like some good things. I don't know, maybe you get reincarnated into like a dog or something. Like live your life, period. Bark. You live life to, sit pampered in luxury, depending. I don't know, because I think it also depends. Because it's like you could be reincarnated to a dog, but that dog is getting treated the absolute worst. You did something wrong. Or you get reincarnated into a dog, and like that dog is pampered to the absolute gods. You did something right. It's that kind of thing, right? So you have the laws of karma, and it could be within the lifetime of the next. Life is looked upon as a continuum as well when it comes to Hinduistic beliefs. And this is the sense that pristine life energy is never destroyed. Death is accepted as a process of life. So they just It's like it is what it is. You know, death is just something that's gonna happen. It's inevitable. I believe, at least more so in the West, we do have like issues with denying death. I do think that's a thing where it's like we have denial issues with it, and other cultures it's like it just kind of is what it is. You can't really stop death from happening. I mean, you could even go as far as to say like what's going on in the US right now with a lot of people when it comes to like plastic surgery. Like they do all these different surgeries and different procedures and go through these different things to prevent aging. When it's like aging is inevitable. You're gonna age, you're gonna get older if you are blessed to being older, because not a lot of people make it to where they get wrinkles, you know? As a great podcaster of somebody that I listened to, Lovely T, once said, the opposite of living is dying. And that's very much so true. If you're not living, you're dying. So what's the point? You know, it's like you should be blessed every single day with the process of aging. Not everybody gets to age. So if you do end up blessed with aging, that's a beautiful thing. Don't have that be taken away ever. Like that's just a beautiful thing to age, to get old, to beauty, to do that. Like every single time. Like hands down, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a blessing every single time to get older. So yeah, but laws of karma, you get all this stuff added up, you generate conditions to be experienced within the next lifetime. That's how the whole shebang is. And then after that, you have life looked upon as a continuum. Pristine life energy is never destroyed. This is something that I want us to pay attention to the most because, you know, that essentially is kind of like with Nen. There's like post-mortem Nen, where even if the person dies, their Nen kind of lives on. So it's pretty much that in a nutshell, if you really want to think about it. That's pretty much what it is. So like I said, yeah, it's probably a lot easier for them to learn then because honestly, looking back and reading all the research that I did, it's like, yeah, no shit. They had an easy time, you know, within the village learning about Nen because it's like, this is pretty much just what they do on their daily. Yeah, this is their daily. So that just goes without saying. This is their daily. Then you have the belief of reincarnation, also known as samsara, and this is the cycle of life, death, and rebirth until the sudden time is the individual's soul on self-realization of its own essential divinity. So pretty much you kind of like go through a groundhog day. You just live life over and over and over again until you have like this full realization, this full like awakening for your like own personal divinity, your own personal awakening. Self-awareness has just been fully achieved. And then it's like, I don't know the rules for them in their version of afterlife. Mind you, we don't have to follow it all the way because it's just Romani principles, aka Hinduistic principles. But as far as I'm aware, at least for Hispanic Romani people, they mostly follow the Catholic religion with a couple of twists. And these are the couple of twists. Like Catholic, but there are some things that, you know, has been passed down that originally came from Hinduistic practices that they now use for Christianity. Yeah, it's not all of them. Some of them still go back to their original roots, haven't changed a thing, but a lot of them are Catholic. I think it's always included in that description of like Hinduistic practices and stuff, but it's like Catholic veneer, whatever you wanna call it. It's like Catholic essentially. Yeah. You know, that's the whole shebang-a-lang. Romanis also believe in a universal practice called Kantari. Everything must have its natural place. Birds must fly, fish must swim. That kind of ideology is something that I do think we'll probably be discussing more with Hisoka later on, but that's also something to keep in mind for this character study. Another thing is things do not follow the natural order, such as hens, which are birds that don't fly. They consider that bad luck, and then they will not eat it, like at all. So chickens are a no-go. Chickens are a no-go. And it's like, no, not a fan of chickens. They don't fly, okay? It's pretty much just like, I would rather eat a pigeon. Chickens don't fly. Ducks fly. So I think they'll probably just replace it with duck, more likely. It's like, chickens don't fly. So that's weird and bad luck. I know eats. I'll eat a duck though. Have y'all tried duck? Off topic but on topic again. Y'all ever eaten duck before? I have. It's actually really good. Some of y'all should try it. Some of y'all should try duck. If you have never done that before, you need to. You need to get into trying duck someday. I don't know. Maybe it's expensive to do. It's like maybe nowadays it's expensive. I don't know how long ago I did that, but if you can't find a way in these troubling times to get you some duck, please do so. Get some duck. Yeah. So moving on, Brahmanis believe it is possible to become polluted in various ways. And when we mean polluted, we don't mean like actually dirty, like physically dirty, like I know some of y'all are thinking right now. No, when we mean polluted, we mean spiritually polluted, spiritually dirty. So not physically, spiritually. And some of the beliefs that they have as to what might exactly do it, it varies. There's a lot. But ultimately, this must be restored through different rituals. They must restore their purity through a trial before a room tribunal of elders. It's serious business to them. Very serious business. So, it's like very, very serious business going on, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, Roma still believe and still practice Shaktism of the worship of a god through a female consort. So that's probably why they like Catholicism as their form of Christianity, because with Catholicism, they have like heavy bases with like the Mother Mary. So that's why. More you know. I didn't know that originally until I started doing research. Like y'all are hearing all of my like research thoughts today. It's like, I didn't know that until I did research for it. But it's like, yeah. And then the Spanish Roma are Catholic. So that's why I'm saying that now, because like with Hisoka's mom, you're going to have some Hinduistic practices, but it's ultimately Catholic. Is that like a Catholic? Then what happened? There's just some indications, It's like he likes messing with Crollo, but I think before they ended up enemies, that's probably why they were friends. It's like there's something familiar that they can talk about with each other. Two Hispanic boys just hanging out. I'm gonna keep saying this, especially in the adult arc. It's gonna be like, get these Latin niggas off my screen. It's gonna be so funny. It's gonna be so funny when we get to the adulthood section. But yeah, for those of you that are Catholic, the following things I'm gonna say are nothing new. These are the following things that they believe in. These are the sacraments of Christian initiation. They believe in baptism, Eucharist, confirmation. Then they have the sacraments of healing, which is penance and reconciliation, as well as anointing the sick. And then the last one is sacraments of service, matrimony, and holy orders. Now, again, when I put in my research, it's like using Roman Catholicism as a cover. I don't think it's a cover necessarily. It's more like similar to how there are certain African Americans / African people that follow hoodoo practices, but they do it in the name of God. So there's some spiritual things that they still do that originally comes from that belief, but now it's just converted and revamped for whatever religion that they're now in. So that's pretty much it. What I'm basically saying is they worship God in a non-European way. To really put it simply for you guys. Yeah, in a non-European way. We have Santa Sara la Kali. It's a saint that you should probably remember, because maybe I'll reference it again. Maybe. And this is a saint that sought for protection and healing. She's a modern rendition of the Hindu goddess Kali and is a patron saint to the Romani people. So that's why you kind of need to remember her. She has provided hope and identity to most of the Roma diaspora, and there is a pilgrimage for her every late May. So if there's anybody who wants to do kind of like, there's some people who already also had the Romani theory. Shout out to those people in the fandom as is, shout out to that. So if you guys, have any ideas, I'm giving you research ideas right now. So if there's ever like a fan for like a pilgrimage every late May, get creative with that. Get creative with that. Get creative with that. I don't know what you are going to do with that, but that's the idea. But typically, on top of that, it's in Sainte Maries de la Mer, which is a small village in the Cambridge region of France, which is a perfect blend of both Hindu and Christian practices. That is everything for at least part 1 of the tea talk, right? So that's just some of the things that I wanted to talk about in a little bit more detail. I'm gonna have this computer just kind of charged before we get into part 2. So we're gonna get into part 2 at around maybe 4, 5, 6 p.m. And I think either that or we're just gonna have to do part 2 another day. But for right now, guys, that is the Hunter x Hunter live stream for the month of technically July, but now August. So don't worry, there's more live streams coming back. I'm definitely gonna have to do it again because for the education series slash secession war arc episodes, those are gonna take longer to research slash edit because those are in video mode. So we will see each other next time. Again, please remember to support the channel by looking through the Fubi and going through the Ko-fi, the Patreon, the YouTube channel. Everything's over there, right? Click on the link, you'll see everything kind of thing. So I hope to see you guys next time. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time, most likely either next week or maybe this Sunday. It depends. But I will see you guys next time. You guys have a good day. And when we come back, we'll do part 2, part 3, and maybe the movie reaction. Bye bye, everybody.